Hello, Living Word Lutheran. This is December 14th, Advent service. In John 4, verse 17, it says, "The woman answered Jesus, 'I have no husband.' And Jesus said to her, 'You're right in saying I have no husband, for you have had 5 husbands, and the one you now have is not your husband. What you have said is true.' The woman said to him, 'Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, but you say that in Jerusalem is the place where people ought to worship.'" So we've been talking during this Advent about where Jesus comes. And a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how he comes in our family worship. And last week, we talked about he comes to us in music. And today, we're going to talk about how Jesus comes to us, or comes to our neighbor's door. So it's a little bit of a story on what evangelism looks like and what it looks like to have Jesus impact us in a way that causes us to want to share with others about him, to say, come and see the Jesus that I know. And that's exactly what happened with this woman. So in our text today, Jesus says that no longer, in fact, here's what he says: "Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, but you say that in Jerusalem, the place where people ought to worship." That's the woman. Jesus said to her, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem will you worship the Father. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. But the hour is coming and is now here when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father is seeking such people to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and truth." This is a Samaritan woman. So the people went out to the temple in Samaria, which was not looked on favorably by the Jews, because they were going out to the temple to worship Jesus in Jerusalem. 2 different mountains, but both Old Covenant worship where you went out to someplace else to meet God. And Jesus uses the law here to expose her sin when he says, "You are right, woman. Basically, you don't have a husband. You have 5, and the one man that you're with now is not your husband." So Jesus was actually using the law to expose her heart, her sin, really preparing her to hear the gospel. So then Jesus does reveal himself in verse 25. He says, after the woman says, "I know that the Messiah is coming. When he comes, he will tell us all things." Well, she knew about the Messiah, but she did not know the Messiah yet. Jesus says to her, "It is I who speak, I am he." So Jesus reveals himself to the woman, "I am he." So first he brings the law to prepare her heart, and then he brings the gospel by bringing himself, and he reveals, "It's me. I am that Messiah that you know about." And there's an exchange. Today was her day to meet Jesus. Jesus came to her, notice. Jesus comes to us. He comes to you. He comes to me. So what is the evidence that her heart was truly changed? And this is the part where we get into Jesus comes to your neighbor. She runs off, actually. In verse 28 of John 4, it says, So the woman left. She left her water jar and she went away. Okay, did she go away mad? No. She went to town and she started talking to people. And what was she telling them? Come and see. To see a man who told me all that I ever did. Can this be the Christ? God, the gospel, Jesus presents, I'm it. He comes to her, he meets her, and it begins to change her. And you can see the change beginning in her and just the excitement. You can imagine. Can this be the Christ? Come and see, come and see. They went out of town where they were coming to him. And so that was the evidence that her heart was changing toward knowing Jesus, to go and tell others. One of the best things you can say to your neighbor is, come and see. Come and see the Messiah. Know my Jesus. He can be your Savior too. Jesus comes to your neighbor's door through you. That's how he comes to our neighbor. Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. There are 3 opportunities for you to invite someone to Living Word coming up. First, this Sunday, December 18th at 10:15 is our children's Christmas program. You won't want to miss that. Secondly, next Wednesday, the 21st, a time slot between 5 and 8 p.m. Come to any part of it and be a part of giving away Horn of Plenty food baskets to bless families. And then thirdly, Christmas Eve this year is at 4:30 p.m. Christmas Eve. And yes, we are offering a Christmas morning service, which will basically be a sing-along of Christmas songs. Merry Christmas.